July 17th, 1976, Saturday. Yesterday we drove from Windermere to Inverary. The scenery was fantastic. We stopped in the afternoon at a little beach on Loch Lomond, then drove along a too narrow mountain road in the rain to Inverary. Coming into town, Linda scraped the front left corner of the car against the side of a one-lane bridge. We now realize that we will not be able to see as much as we had hoped. We will stay in this area for the weekend and go on Monday. We left Inverary and drove some 40 or 50 miles. I drove 2 hours and 15 minutes to Eastdale, a seaside village some 7 or 8 miles from Oban. The road was narrow all the way, although it was not the mountain driving of yesterday. The last 4 miles was a one-lane road with intermittent passing places. We are staying with Mrs. Robb. The house faces the ocean, and the scenery is like nothing else I have ever seen. There are mountains right by the ocean, with sheep all the way up the side. We walked a good way into a field by the ocean, and Beth made her first intimate acquaintance with sheep. She was highly delighted. There are cattle and horses as well. Slate lies everywhere, right into the water. July 20th, 1976, Tuesday. After a fine breakfast, we left Eastdale for Oban over a twisty, narrow country road. One just does not go fast on those roads. We drove through Oban toward Glencoe. Instead of taking the new bridge, we took the long way around Glencoe. It was really beautiful. We stopped often and took lots of pictures. Mrs. Fraser gave us tea while we watched the 9 o'clock news. I never thought we would sit in a living room in Scotland and watch pictures of Mars. I can hardly wait to get the next issue of Sky and Telescope.
So we're coming down, straight down.
Nav is green for touchdown.
ACS is green, 1.5 degrees per second max, 0.2 Gs.
8 feet per second.
Touchdown, we have touchdown. Extra zone.
We have touchdown.
Neighborhood zone. Camera 1 zone. We're looking good.
In 1976, 2 Viking spacecraft will place landers on the surface of Mars. One major objective is to search for life in the Martian soil.
But even more important, we tried to look back in the past to place the events that have taken place over a long period of time, to understand what happened early in its development, in the middle part of its development, the things that are happening now, and to predict what might happen in the future.
July 21st, 1976, Wednesday. I have found myself wanting to write cards and letters to Granny. I am sure that she would be pleased to know that we are here. From Elgin, we drove to Fraserburgh. The change in scenery since yesterday could not have been more dramatic, from seaside mountains to rolling farmland. We drove into Fraserburgh from the west, and as Mom was used to seeing it from the south, she did not recognize it. July 22nd, 1976, Thursday. Another full day today. Beth rose promptly at 7 a.m. We tried to talk her into going back to sleep without success. We made it out of the house by 10:15 and walked downtown. Across from the Tourist Information Center, we went to the Registrar of Births, Deaths, and Marriages, and upon checking Mom's birth record, June 28, 1917, we discovered that she was born at 102 Charlotte Street, not 60 Charlotte Street as she had thought. We walked down to the beach and proceeded to walk the sands from Fraserburgh to Cairnbulk, which is no mean feat. We stopped halfway to eat lunch, meat sandwiches, and cheese, by an observation blockhouse left over from World War II. We saw 3 such blockhouses, round, squat things with little slits of windows round the side. We were told that some of the beaches had been mined during the war. We walked into Cairnbog and walked past the houses in which my grandparents grew up, although we did not know it then. The houses are built of granite blocks with walls up to 2 feet thick, and they have changed little over the years. There is no beach, just rocks, straight out into the sea. July 24th, 1976, Saturday. We went over to see Rob Doig. He was full of tidbits. Mom's Uncle Alex is in Nottingham. My great-grandfather John had a sailboat, Flowery Land, and drifters Undaunted, Albatross, and White Heather. What a drifter is, I do not know. Mom's Uncle John had a boat in partnership with a Jimmy Duffy, who ran off with the insurance money after the boat burned.
Takes something like a year to go to Mars, about the same as it took British merchantmen to go to the Far East in the 17th or early 18th centuries.
The Viking lander cameras sent the surface of Mars back to Earth. Each viewer became an explorer, seeing a new world for the first time, an alien planet that was somehow eerily familiar, but at the same time, seemingly lifeless.
Well, ironically, the success of Viking led us to close the doors to further exploration. In fact, it was over 20 years before the United States was to send back another mission.
I did not sleep well last night. The jellyfish stings kept me awake, but I will try to remember what I can. We went back to Katie's house for lunch. Either before or after, Beth took 4 steps from the sofa toward the kitchen. Linda tells me she took 3 yesterday, but the 4 today are the first I have seen. We drove on toward Peterhead. We stopped at a stone circle outside Lonmay, which was being excavated by a team of archaeologists. They had it all cleaned up and were able to tell us a bit about it. It is supposed to date from 1500 BC. There was a ring of stones with 3 large stones at one end, 2 upright and 1 on its side.
The big question for the biologist is, what is life? What do we mean when we say life? We're really only familiar with one form of life, terrestrial life.
It always happens in the history of science that as your perspective broadens, you learn more about what you left at home as well as what you went out to seek.
Our last full day in Britain and Scotland draws to a close. Tonight we walked over to Mom's aunt's house, but they were not in, which is a shame. I know it upset Mom. Mom left a note and 2 pictures she had borrowed, one of her grandfather.
The landing sites for Viking are now neatly inscribed on our new maps of Mars. And in 1976, the search begins.